The Gulf of Oman, 2026. Somewhere in that black, moonless water, a 900-foot container ship is running dark. No identification lights, no radio response. Just a massive steel hull pushing silently through international waters at 17 knots, and a U.S. Navy destroyer closing fast behind it. What happens in the next 47 minutes will test the boundaries of international maritime law, push two nuclear-armed powers to the edge of confrontation, and end with United States Marines standing on the deck of an Iranian vessel seized mid-ocean, rifles raised, in one of the most audacious naval operations of the 21st century. This is how it happened. For months before that night, American intelligence had been tracking what analysts call the Shadow Fleet, a loose network of tankers and cargo ships used by Iran to move sanctioned oil, weapons components, and military equipment across the world's most contested waterways. These vessels operate under flags of convenience, cycling through fake registrations in countries like Gabon, Palau, and Panama. They disable their AIS transponders, the GPS-like system that allows port authorities to track commercial ships, and they go dark, deliberately, like predators vanishing into deep water. The MV Shaheen, the vessel now cutting through the Gulf of Oman, was one of them. According to U.S. Central Command intelligence assessments, the Shaheen was believed to be carrying precision ballistic missile components bound for Houthi forces in Yemen, the same forces that had spent the previous 2 years targeting American warships and commercial shipping lanes with Iranian-supplied weapons. Under U.S. sanctions law and the United Nations Security Council resolutions targeting Iranian arms transfers, that cargo was illegal. Under the laws of the sea, intercepting it was authorized. The question was how. The USS Bruins, a guided missile destroyer operating in the region, received its orders at 2200 hours local time. The mission tasking was clear: intercept the Shaheen, identify its cargo, and prevent it from reaching its destination. What was not yet clear was whether anyone aboard that ship was going to cooperate. The Bruins moved to intercept, broadcasting repeated warnings on marine emergency channels. Channel 16, the International Maritime Distress Frequency monitored by every commercial vessel on the water. In plain language, in Farsi, in English. The message was simple: heave to, cut your engines, prepare to be boarded. The Shaheen did not stop. Instead, she began evasive maneuvers, broad sweeping course changes designed to make a boarding more difficult, to buy time, and perhaps to draw the confrontation into territorial waters where the calculus would shift. The crew of the Shaheen knew what they were carrying. They also knew that every mile they gained was leverage. The Bruins commanding officer had to make a decision. Under the Mark 45 naval gun system, a 5-inch 54 caliber automated cannon mounted on the bow of most U.S. Navy destroyers, precision engagement at range is not a fantasy. It is doctrine. The Mark 45 can fire 20 rounds per minute, guided by the ship's fire control radar, and in trained hands, it can be used for what the Navy calls surgical interdiction, not to sink a vessel, not to kill its crew, but to disable specific mechanical systems. The target in this case, the Shaheen's engine room exhaust stack and propulsion housing located at the ship's stern, away from crew quarters, away from cargo holds, positioned to minimize casualties while destroying the vessel's ability to move. At 22:38 hours, the Bruins fired. 2 rounds, supersonic. The sound reaching the Shaheen's crew before the damage registered in their minds. The ship shuddered. Black smoke poured from the stern. The engines died. 900 feet of steel, carrying tens of thousands of tons of cargo, went dead in the water. What followed was a precisely choreographed operation that U.S. Marines call a visit, board, search, and seizure. VBSS. It is one of the most dangerous missions in naval warfare. Boarding a hostile vessel at sea, in the dark, with an uncooperative crew of unknown size and unknown armament, requires a level of coordination that borders on the surgical. From the deck of the Bruins, Two MH-60 Seahawk helicopters, the Navy's primary shipboard rotary wing aircraft, lifted off into the darkness. Inside each aircraft, a team of United States Marines from the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit sat in full combat kit, body armor, night vision goggles, M4 carbines, and fast rope equipment. The thick, braided ropes they would drop from the helicopter to the ship's deck below. The Shaheen's crew had retreated inside. The deck was empty. That was not necessarily good news. At 22:51 hours, the first helicopter hovered over the Shaheen's bridge structure. The fast ropes dropped. Marines slid down one after another, boots hitting steel in rapid succession, fanning out across the deck in practiced sectors. The second helicopter covered the stern. In under 90 seconds, United States Marines controlled the exterior of a 900-foot Iranian vessel in the middle of the Gulf of Oman. The real work was just beginning. The interior of a container ship this size is a labyrinth. Narrow corridors, engine rooms the size of warehouses, crew quarters stacked into tight compartments, and a cargo hold that could conceal almost anything. The Marines moved compartment by compartment, announcing their presence, weapons raised, using interpreters on radio to communicate with the crew. The Shaheen's captain and 23 crew members were found in the bridge and galley areas. No shots were fired. No resistance was offered. Whether from fear, pragmatism, or simple exhaustion, the crew complied. What the Marines found in the sealed cargo containers deep in the ship's hold confirmed what intelligence had suspected. Precision-guided missile components, drone fuselage parts, electronic warfare equipment. All of it matching the signatures of Iranian weapons systems already identified in Houthi arsenals in Yemen. The seizure was complete by 0042 hours, less than 3 hours after the operation began. But the story did not end there. Within hours of the boarding, Chinese naval vessels operating in the region, part of the People's Liberation Army Navy's Gulf of Aden Anti-Piracy Task Force, a mission China has maintained since 2008, moved within visual range of the operation. Radio communications between the Bruins and the Chinese ships were terse, professional, but the message was unmistakable. Beijing was watching, and Beijing was not pleased. For the United States, the seizure was a demonstration of resolve, proof that sanctions enforcement had teeth, that American warships could and would stop Iranian arms shipments in international waters. For Iran, it was a provocation. Within 24 hours, Tehran announced it had summoned the Swiss ambassador, who represents American interests in the absence of formal diplomatic relations, to formally protest what they called an act of piracy. The world held its breath. The Shaheen was escorted under U.S. Navy supervision to a regional Allied port, where the cargo was offloaded and documented by federal agents and UN weapons inspectors. The crew was held briefly and later repatriated. The vessel itself became the subject of litigation in 3 different international maritime courts. But the missiles never reached Yemen. What happened in the Gulf of Oman that night was not just a tactical military operation. It was a message delivered at 20 rounds per minute across 900 feet of steel in 47 minutes of controlled, deliberate force. That the United States Navy is still the dominant power in these waters, and that some ships, no matter how dark they run, cannot hide forever.